Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be restoring and customizing two Matchbox Lamborghini Countaches. The first one here is the Countach LP500. This was the 1982 version of the Countach. It's got the sort of more square 80s front end on it there. Matchbox produced their version from 1985 until 2000. And the second one here is the older Matchbox version of the Countach. I did wonder about this because it didn't look much like a Countach to me, but it is based off of the original prototype model, which was first produced in 1971. And although this Matchbox version sort of missed the mark a bit, the prototype model, if you ever look online at the real thing, I actually think it looks better than the production Countach. Okay, so let's have a closer look at them off of the turntable. Here's the earlier version, a bit paint worn, typically tired looking old tyres there. It's got a nice opening back hood on it there. You can see the motor inside. Metal base on it there is a little bit worn but not too bad. Luckily there's a wee crack in the windscreen. And here's our LP500. This is a bit more worn with the paint job. Scuffed windscreen and much more worn looking wheels there. Nice detailed metal base on this model. Anyway, it looks like it's seen quite a bit of playtime. The black paint job here was the 1986 version. So let's crack on and take the cars apart. I'll start by drilling out the rivet posts. There's two of them on each car. And then I can disassemble them. Before I paint strip the bases here, I'll just pop the wheels and axles out. Put a bit of masking tape over the plastic suspension plate on this one so that the paint stripper doesn't melt it, and then I can treat them with some poly stripper to remove all the paint. Here it goes dissolving. I'll just wash it off with some water. And here are all the cast parts with the paint stripped off them. I've removed the masking from the suspension plate there. And now I'll give them a good burnishing with a wire brush on my rotary tool. This will get rid of all of that oxidation that's all over them and any remaining scraps of paint. And here are all our castings looking a bit cleaner and shinier. Before I move along and paint them, I'm just going to drill and tap the posts on the bodies. As you'll see here, I make a classic mistake and drill right through the bonnet of this one. The metal actually seemed a bit softer on this model because my drill usually doesn't go through that fast. But I'll have to spend a little bit of time now fixing that before I paint the car. Anyway, I'll crack on drilling and tapping the posts. I'm using a 1.7mm drill and a 256 tap. To fix the hole in the bonnet, I'm just going to use a little bit of fast setting epoxy putty. Just make sure I've got it well pressed into the hole there, and I'll rub off the bulk of it and then let it set until it's rock hard. Now I use a little needle file here to remove the bulk of it, and then move on to a couple of grades of sandpaper. Now that that's looking pretty good, I'll hit it with a little bit of grey primer. So let me have an idea of where I'm up to with how smooth it is. Can still see it there a tiny bit, so I'm going to take some 1200 grit sandpaper and just give it another little sand down. And then some more grey primer. That's looking pretty smooth to me. Now I can crack on with painting like normal. So I'm going to begin with some white primer on this car. And most of the original prototypes I was looking at seem to be yellow, so I've painted my one yellow as well. And here it is after a little bit of detailing and some gloss clear. Onto the LP500 now. I begin with an undercoat of black primer. And just like my Ferrari, I'm going to be painting my Lamborghini red. And again, here is the other Lamborghini after some detailing and a coat of nice gloss clear. With those curing, we can move on with the plastic parts. They're all looking fairly grubby, so the first thing I'll have to do is give them a good wash in some soapy water. Here they are, looking a lot cleaner. Now I can move on and detail the interiors. Start with some white primer and then some tan paint on the LP500 interior here. And then I detail the dash in black. The prototype interior, I first painted a nice coat of black. I then detailed the motor with some metallic weathering powder. I paint the rear lights here in chrome. And then I finish them with a clear red. The chassis were both painted black. The windscreens were both a little bit scuffed, so I gave them a quick polish with some auto sole. And then a dip in some self-shining floor polish. And finally, these scruffy old wheels. I'm going to be replacing them with some nicer aftermarket ones. I'm going to be using these ones for the prototype. And these ones for the LP500. So all of these wheels have white unpainted rims, so I'll have to paint them. Start by painting them all black, and then they're painted chrome. Then I can put the tyres back on and they're ready to go. Of course, these aren't the same as the original LP500 mags with the little round holes in them, but I still think they look pretty cool. And so here are all the parts of our two Lamborghinis, refurbished, repainted and ready to go back together. So while I'm assembling them and screwing them together, let's just take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Here's our well-worn 1980s LP500, heavily chipped paint job and worn out tampos there, tired looking old wheels and a fairly scruffed windscreen. Let's see if we can get it looking a bit more like an Italian supercar should. And here it is, our restored Matchbox Lamborghini Countach LP500. Thankfully that worn out old black paint job is long gone, along with those horrible tampos. And I think the nice red paint job really shows off the shape of the car a lot better. It's also been detailed, it's had the windscreen cleaned up, and a nice new set of wheels on it. You let me know what you think in the comments down below. I bet plenty of you had one of these as a toy when you were a kid. And I bet we've all had it as one of our dream cars at one time or another. Remember, if you enjoy watching these videos and you want to see more of them, you can help out the channel by checking out my Patreon page in the description down below. And here's our older Matchbox Lamborghini Countach, based on the original prototype car. Again, it's looking pretty scruffy, not as bad as the last one, but definitely in need of a tidy up. Let's see if we can get it looking a bit better. And here it is, our finished, restored and customized Matchbox Lamborghini Countach, based on the prototype. A nice tidy new yellow paint job to replace that worn out old red one. And again, no more ghastly tampos on it, just the nice lines of the car. Well, as close as they managed to get to them on this thing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Again, I bet a fair few of you used to own this as a toy when you were kids. As always, it's great to hear any memories that you have. Before I go, I'll say a big thanks to everyone for the great comments and likes on my videos. Extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters for helping to support the channel through Patreon. Thanks heaps for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you'd like to see more like it, remember to subscribe and click the bell so that you get notifications and updates. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.